I'm going to walk through the DOLPHIN Cayman Robotic Pool Cleaner with a calm, no-fluff approach, because I know a lot of homeowners stare at the price tag, wonder if the tech will actually make a difference, and then worry about ending up with a gadget that sits in the shed while the pool stays dirty. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'll share what I've learned about how the Cayman behaves once it's in the water, what kind of pool owners really benefit from it, and where the money is actually being spent versus what you might still have to handle yourself. First off, the biggest hesitation I hear from buyers is the fear of overpaying for a robot that sounds sophisticated, but simply glides around without really cleaning the hard-to-reach spots. That's a legitimate concern, especially if your pool has a lot of plaster stains, algae that clings to the wall, or a tiled surface where debris hides in the grout. The Cayman tries to address exactly that with its HyperBrush, a rotating scrubber that is meant to tackle the toughest contaminants stuck to the pool wall. In practice, the brush does a decent job on the usual greenish algae films and on mineral deposits that tend to build up near the skimmer. If you've ever tried a traditional suction cleaner and watched it slip over the tiled edge without ever really making contact, you'll notice that the Cayman's brush actually presses against the surface thanks to its low center gravity design. It's not a miracle cure for years-old stubborn stains, but for weekly maintenance it pulls the bulk of the grime off the wall in a single run. One thing that often trips people up with any robotic cleaner is how you deal with the filter. The Cayman uses a top-access filter compartment, which means you simply lift a hatch on the top of the unit and dump the debris into a bucket. That's a small but significant convenience. I've seen owners of other robots struggle with side panel filters that require you to pull the whole unit out of the water, then wrestle with a tight seal to open it. With the Cayman's hatch, you can clean it while the unit is still in the pool, which cuts down on the time you spend hauling it out and reinstalling it. The downside is the filter size itself. It fills up faster than some larger capacity models if you have a lot of leaf fall or a heavily used pool. You'll need to empty it after each cycle during peak season, which is a minor chore, but something to factor into your routine. Now, let's talk about the navigation system. DOLPHIN calls it SmartNav 2.0 robotic scanning. In simple terms, the robot maps the pool floor as it moves, learning where it's already cleaned and where it still needs to go. For most in-ground pools that are a standard rectangle with a few steps, the system works reliably. You'll hear a faint hum as it changes direction, and it tends to avoid the stuck-on-the-ladder scenario that cheap robots fall into. The real test is with irregular shapes, like a free-form pool or a lot of built-in benches. In those cases, the Cayman can still cover most of the area, but occasionally spends a few minutes looping around a corner before it figures out the new path. It's not a failure. It's just a reminder that the algorithm isn't as sophisticated as a full camera mapping system you might find on high-end vacuums for the floor. If you're wondering about the power source, the Cayman's built-in battery gives you roughly 2 to 3 hours of run time, which is enough for an average 15 by 30 foot pool to get a full pass. The unit recharges itself automatically after a cycle, so you don't have to remember to plug it back in. However, the battery is sealed, which means you can't replace it yourself. You'll need to rely on the 2-year warranty DOLPHIN offers for any premature failures. That warranty is a solid safety net, but it also means you should be comfortable with the idea that a battery replacement might require a service call if something goes wrong after the warranty expires. So, who should actually consider buying the Cayman? If you own an in-ground pool that you use regularly during the warm months, and you're tired of pulling out a hose and a vacuum wand every weekend, the Cayman fits nicely. It's especially useful for families with kids who splash in the water, because the brush will pull up hair, sunscreen residue, and the occasional snack crumb that tends to cling to the walls. Homeowners who have already invested in a decent filtration system, say a sand or DE filter, will find the robot works in tandem, handling the surface and wall debris while the main filter takes care of the finer particles. The 2-year warranty also adds peace of mind for people who are a bit risk-averse about spending on a robot that sits on a shelf for a season. On the flip side, if you have a small above ground